Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. This is Darlene Graham. I'm calling again.
Good morning, it's
Awesome.
Patsy Whitney.
Thank you, Darlene and Patsy. So glad that y'all are here. Great to see so
Thank
many folks
you.
on the
Thank
call this
you.
morning.
Good morning. It's Abby Mason from Miracles in Sight.
Hi, Abby. This is Brenda, your old colleague. I'm now with Operation Site.
Hey, Brenda, it's so good to see
I know
you.
you too.
Good morning. This is Amanda Stoltz with the Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good morning, Amanda. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I think everybody that was in the queue has joined us now, so we are going to go ahead and get started. We've got an exciting program today, and we are starting with our guest speaker, Michelle Emerson from the Berkeley-Charleston-Dorchester Council of Governments to talk with us about accessible transportation. I think this will be a very exciting topic because I know it's one that we have all been talking about as a group a lot and one that seems to come up repeatedly in conversation as we work in our spaces to increase access to accessible transportation throughout South Carolina. So, quick introduction for Michelle, who's leading our program today. Driven by a passion for community engagement and empowerment, Michelle Emerson is the Marketing and Communications Manager for Berkeley-Charleston-Dorchester Council of Governments. With over 18 years of experience managing marketing efforts for CARTA, the public transit system in Charleston, South Carolina, Michelle has consistently demonstrated her ability to educate and connect with diverse segments of her community. Her strategic thinking, program development, and creative communication skills have led to increased public understanding and support for critical transportation programs in the region. Prior to her work in the public sector, Michelle Michelle co-owned a successful marketing consulting agency focusing on serving small and minority-owned businesses. She also brings extensive media experience, having worked as a senior account executive at several companies where she honed her expertise in media placement, business development, and strategic campaign implementation. Michelle's demonstrated commitment to community uplift has earned her numerous accolades, including the 2014 Making the Difference Award from the State Transportation Association and the 2018 Captain Pride Award for her management of the impactful Adopt a Stop program. She currently serves on the board of the Lowcountry Black Expo and Empowerment Summit and volunteers her time to support homeless veterans. A proud graduate of South Carolina State University, Michelle is also a member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority and Alpha Kappa Psi business fraternity. Michelle, we are really excited that you are here and look forward to hearing from you about transportation efforts in our state. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Daniel, so much for that introduction. I truly appreciate it. Um, as you were reading, I'm thinking I'm going to have to get a summarized one, a little shorter one than that, get my folks to do a little shorter one than that without my whole history. But thank you, though. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for having me and giving me the opportunity to present some information to you today. Hopefully, I won't take up too much of your time. I believe initially one of my former coworkers was going to come to you guys and kind of present some of the and as we do here at the COG, we have great talent. And so unfortunately, she went on the bigger and better things. So you have me at this point. So again, want to give you information specifically geared towards some things that are going to be rapidly changing, dealing with our transportation in the very near future. And I'm hoping that a lot of you all have already heard about the program that I'm going to be telling you about this morning. And it's more of an update for those of you who have heard this information before. And also a little bit of an update as to where we are in the progress of it all. If I have just a few minutes after I give you some information and present some information on LCRT, which stands for Low Country Rapid Transit. I would also, because of the group that I'm talking to, and I know that a lot of you guys deal with a lot of community residents that need, as Daniel was saying, viable transportation options. I may be able to, just depending on what our town looks like, talk a little bit about our ADA services that we provide for Carter and for Tri-County Link. Because again, if you guys are helping anyone out there in the community to have access to some of these programs, just going to give you a few quick tidbits to make sure that you guys are able to completely help them as far as their applications and things like that, because part of that is my job as far as reviewing some of those ADA applications that we get in for some of the rural transportation, and one of my coworkers actually deals with the urban side. So again, just depending on what time we have, I can also talk just a quick little bit about that. And if we don't have that time, I can always come back and kind of present to you guys on that as well, if that's okay with everyone. So we're going to jump right into it again. We're going to be talking about Lowcountry Rapid Transit, which is going to be changing the framework of what our transportation system looks like here in the Charleston area. Lowcountry Rapid Transit is a bus rapid transit system. This is a system that is going to be somewhat different from what you all may be accustomed to here in the Charleston area. I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can minimize this so you can see the full screen if that helps a little bit more. So the purpose of this is to provide premium high capacity bus rapid transit service. So what this is going to bring to our community is it's going to be dedicated bus lanes in the majority of the corridor. The station designs are going to look totally different from anything that you see with our current public transportation system. It's going to allow a lot more connectivity and growth. It will be coming complete with transit signal prioritization, which will help it to stay on time. All of that will have electric buses. It'll improve the visibility, which is great for everyone in our community. But again, especially those who have a disability. So this will definitely increase the safety for everyone. Level boarding and even room for bikes on these buses as they come in. A lot of times this is termed as almost like again, a bus on rubber wheels, but almost like light rail, but it has a little bit more flexibility than that. And so the corridor that we're looking at, it would be starting up at the Exchange Park area in the Latson area, and it would then travel down Rivers Avenue in mostly a dedicated lane. From the map that you're looking at right now, this little area here in green is showing all of the area that would actually have a dedicated lane. The majority of the time that dedicated lane will be in the middle of the corridor of Rivers Avenue area. And then as you get into some of the other areas where it's not as much of that area that's available, some of those will be in mixed traffic and side running stations at those points. We're talking about a 70-minute end-to-end travel time. And as we know, with traffic in the area, that can be a bit of a feat going from that extension all the way, because it's pretty much almost Somerville all the way to the downtown area. During the weekdays, we're talking about 10-minute weekday service during peak and daytime hours, 21 hours of service during the week. This will expand a little bit on what Carter currently serves. It will only be down for a few hours overnight to basically do maintenance, cleaning, things of that nature. On the weekend, we're looking at 20 to 30-minute services, and it will improve the connectivity to the regular Carter routes and Tri-County Link, which is the rural transit providers. There'll be 3 park and rides that will be located along this corridor as well. One will be at the beginning of the route if you're coming from the Somerville Latson area. There's another one that we already currently have that is right next to near the T-Mobile, right up there by Rivers Avenue, and then there'll be another one in the downtown area as well. And so this is just a little look at what we're talking about as far as station architecture, how it will be a different look, a different feel. It will give the appearance and the feel of more like, again, almost like a train station, where when you do get into the area, you will be paying your fare. So even when the bus comes up, there'll be easier boarding. There'll be digital products that will be available that will be located in those areas to assist riders and to provide more information as well. And again, it will be a nice new look and feel to what we currently have. It will again be a very distinct difference between what the current transit system provides at this point. And so as I spoke before, we're talking about a good portion of the corridor is in a dedicated bus only lane. And so gives a little bit of a look as to what that would actually appear to be. In that middle lane, you can see that there are those red areas where that would be bus only. A lot of times we get questions on, how you're going to make sure that the buses are the only ones that are in the lanes and so forth. And so again, there will be education processes and there will be, a learning curve for everyone as they get used to this new system. There will be some barriers that will make sure that, again, cars can't venture over, things of that nature to continue to make sure that the bus stays on time and can move rapidly through traffic, which is what it's built to be. This image is a design look on what it would look like at the Rivers and Remount Road area. And so again, as I've been saying, a lot of the great things that I champion, and I'm so proud to be a part of this project, is because of some of the amenities and safety things that are going to be brought to the project, including 17.9 miles of shared use path, 8.5 miles of reconstructed or new sidewalk. Again, I'm sure you guys are very familiar with many areas throughout the Charleston area where there are sidewalks and then they kind of just disappear, or there's some that need some maintenance or upgrades and updates and things of that nature. And so through this project along that corridor, a lot of that will be able to be taken care of at that point. We're talking about 34 pedestrian crosswalks. This is a very important feature because we know that the viability of this project, and to make it a great thing for everyone in our community, safety is the number one priority. Of course, again, we want to be on time, but we want to be as safe as possible. And so part of that is increasing the visibility of pedestrians in our community. Again, as many of you may ride this corridor right now, we want to improve the knowledge of pedestrians so that they know the best way to cross, and they're using the things that we will be putting in place to make it a safe crossing for them. Quite often, we're talking about 3, 6, 8 actual lanes that they're crossing. Quite often, when you see pedestrians that are trying to use it right now, a lot of times they may get stuck in the middle median. And again, it's sometimes a very contentious crossing, at the least, to say, when they're trying to cross again. And then we also want to improve the visibility for actual people who are driving at that point as well, so that they are looking for pedestrians. Quite often, what I find, even when I'm out driving, is that a lot of folks aren't even looking for people who are out that are walking, who may be in a wheelchair, may have any other disabilities. They're just not looking for those pedestrians. So by improving these crosswalks and making it a much more highly visible area, that will help with that safety feature as well. And they're expecting to see people and expecting them to be crossing and so forth. And so there will be time signals to make sure that they're able to get to where they need to in the middle. As you see in the picture, there will even be safety guards to make sure, again, to help to make sure and mitigate any issues that would be seen. And we're going to also talking about 1.3 miles of bike lane, which is, again, a definite benefit for the entire community. And so the project funding breaks down to this. It's an estimated cost of $625 million. 60% of that has come from FTA grants, and 40% of that has come from the 2016 Charleston sales tax referendum. And that's the breakout as far as what the amount, how it splits up a little bit. Now, when we make sure that we put the funding information out there again so that everybody kind of knows what the project looks like, but it's also to let folks know again that we are very far down the progress of this this actual project at this point in time. And we've been working at this for 8-10 years at this point, getting it to this place. And actually stuff started even before, even on the timeline, it has 2016, but the I-26 program, all of that was research leading up to this when we actually started the program, in 2016. That's where we kind of marked it at, and then we started progression from there. And as you can see, I'm so happy to say that we are all the way down here. It does take a lot and a long time to get through the process. And we have been very happily going through it, but we're very excited to be here in the engineering phase. One of the things that I am out talking to folks about in the community, specifically along the corridor and a lot of our stakeholders, which you guys are, is letting them know where we are in that process. And this summer and the next few weeks, we will be hitting what we call the 60% design mark, or we expect to be hitting the 60% design mark. And what that will mean is that we have basically completed a lot of the major portions of getting through this timeline. And so we're looking at beginning construction in 2026. So in a couple of years, a little over a year or so, we'll be looking at starting that construction. And so you'll start to see, actually, as they say, dirt turning, things of that nature. And we expect it to be online around 2029, 2030. And this is the contact information. If you guys have any questions specifically geared towards LCRT or any of the project, if you would like us to come out and present anything, again, as we continue to go along, a lot of the communities, I try to make sure that we are talking to in a pretty regular basis. We are committed to consistent communication with our communities. And so we want to make sure that we get out, whether it's once a year, twice a year, in people's quarterly meetings, to make sure that they are fully aware of where we are with the project and they get that progress as we're moving through the project. I will happily, Daniel, I'm not sure, I don't know that we actually discussed that portion as far as taking questions or anything. If we've got time, I can definitely jump over to the ADA real quick and then take questions after that, if that works for you.
We do,
That
yes.
sounds good.
We've got about 10 minutes or so where which is great because I'm anticipating that there will be some questions around this.
Okay.
One of our members, Ernie Glover with Lighthouse for the Blind, was the one who, when we started talking about accessible transportation options, initially connected us with the Berkeley-Charleston-Dorchester Council of Governments. So
Mhm.
Ernie, thank you for your help with that and for helping us get to this program today. But Michelle, this is a statewide organization or coalition rather. So there are folks in other parts of the state, and I'm sure they're curious about what might be going on in their communities as well. If you know how things might be developing in other parts of the state, but more specifically, I'm sure there's a lot of questions about this project itself and some of the accessibility components that were factored in, as part of the planning for that. So I have some questions, but I would love to open it up to the group first. If anyone has a question for Michelle, please take yourself off of mute and share that question with us.
And before they did that, Daniel, did you want me to touch on the ADA services that we provide right here? Just to leave that up on the screen.
Sure. Yeah, if you'd
Again,
like to go ahead and do the ADA services, that'll be great. Yeah.
just really quick, I'm not even going to show all of them, but and as you said, because it is a statewide, but anyone that again may be helping folks that may be case managers or case workers for anyone. And so again, for our ADA services, CARTA and Tri-County Link both provide ADA services. CARTA is the urban provider here in the Charleston area. Tri-County Link is the rural service provider in the area. The difference between the two is CARTA is a fixed route, and right now Tri-County Link is a flag stop system. With CARTA, what that means is we actually have a separate fleet where it is based off of our fixed route. We provide the transportation services 3/4 of a mile off of that regular route. It is a curb-to-curb service, operations and service area based off the regular routes. And it deviates 3/4 of a mile. With Teleride, the drivers actually are able to assist passengers from that curb-to-curb service. So they have a little bit more ability to help folks to be able to get on board buses if that help is needed at that point. This map just depicts the CARTA, service area. We'll quickly kind of go through that.
Michelle, could you, we're still seeing the PowerPoint, not the presentation side of the PowerPoint, but the PowerPoint document. If there's a map that you're showing, we're not seeing that yet.
Okay. Sorry about that. Let's see. I'm gonna try to reopen it. Are you seeing the full one now, or is it still just?
So we're seeing the slide viewer view in PowerPoint, not the presentation view, but just the slide view. So I'm not sure if you've got two monitors, if it is maybe on the other monitor, or if you only shared the PowerPoint document, it may not be
Oh, you
picking
know
up.
what? Maybe. So sorry. Let's see. Second, I'm going to, there we go.
Yeah, ADA services. Yep, got it.
Big slide now. Everybody see it
Yep,
big? Okay, perfect. Sorry
perfect.
about that, guys.
That's okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
so uh, let's see, we'll run through here. This is what I was saying. That's the Carter service area that the Carter Telluride is based off of. Get application process. There is a paper application. What we try to make sure that everyone understands is that every question must be completed. And again, that's one of the main things I wanted to get across to you guys. Anyone who is helping others fill this out, or if you know those that are in need, please make sure that they do fill out every single question. If it's something that doesn't apply to them, then they just need to put that in the on that question as far as an answer for it. Once completed, the staff has 21 days to review it. The determination is made off of medical, but also individual assessments, and any questions they can call and go through the application at that point. Approval does not guarantee service. What is meant by that is that, again, we will take information in, but if they are out of the Carter service area, then they would have to get into the Carter service area in order to use Telluride at that point. Once they are approved, they actually get a free ride to our operations facility where they get a ID that they can use, and they need to be able to use that to use the service moving forward. At minimum, they ask for a day's advance as far as reservations are concerned. Tri-County Link is a little bit different. Again, it is a flag stop system, so it does deviate to 3/4 of a mile off the regular route. It provides curb-to-curb service, very similar to CARTA. But what I try to make sure that folks understand is that this is the actual bus. It's not a separate actual service as with CARTA. And so this is the bus with everyone on it that will be deviating. So there are a few other limitations that are there. Drivers can help those who have wheelchairs, things of that nature onto the bus, but it's not a dedicated bus with operators who are specifically geared towards that ADA service. So that's a little bit of a limitation at that point. This shows the entire Tri-County Link service area is in the purple. Green represents the Carter area. So that just shows the expansiveness of the Tri-County Link system. The application process is very similar to CARTA. Unfortunately, we do have to have both applications for the two different organizations, just based off of federal requirements. And so quite often what I tell folks is go ahead and get both applications, because there is a medical part that their physician or someone, caseworker, needs to fill out. And so in order to expedite the process, make sure they print both out, get the medical part done, and then go ahead and turn both of them in at that point in time. And it's the same thing. We base it off of their individual assessment. But if they are not in the service area, they would need to get into the service area at that point in time. Quick reminders, just assisting with applications, customers unable to transport. As far as there may be some folks, if they have different equipment with them, if they're bedbound, things like that, we are unable to transport them. They would need special medical actual transportation. And again, both two applications for both services. This is just some information. I'm going to run through that very quickly. Sorry, let me go back one in just 1 second. I'll try to leave that up as we start actually talking, getting any other questions in. So if anyone wants to take that down, they can, as far as where to pick up and where to drop off. And so with that, I will go ahead and stop with any other presentation portions of that. And like I said, I'll just leave that up if anyone wanted to take any of that information down, and we'll open it up to any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Michelle. And we will send both PowerPoints out to the group as well for anybody that wants to have access to those at a later date. So please take yourself off of mute and share any questions that you might have with Michelle.
I have a question.
Hi.
Hi, Michelle. I'm Patsy Whitney. I'm the director for the State Free Clinic Association,
Okay.
and we do have clinics down in the Tri-County area, and I
Hmm.
want to share information with them by email. Should I just give them the website ridetricounty.com and then let them take it from there? Chances are they know about this resource, but I still want to share it with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely, yeah, give them both. I would give them both websites. It's ridecarter.com and ridetricountylink.com. Because our area is growing so much, and we know that, again, we have a wonderful place that we live, a beautiful place that we live. And so we've got tons of people that are moving to the Charleston area and to the entire
Oh,
Southwest
yeah.
region at all times. And so
Whew.
that's one of the reasons why I tell folks to, if they live in the area, a lot of times they may be living right outside of the urban area, what's considered urban, but we all know that our urban area stretches way beyond just the downtown Charleston area. But it's good to have both of those applications. It's better to need it. I mean, have it and not need it
Mhm.
than to need it and not have it at that point in time. And so that's why, again, I would tell them both, because quite often they may live in the Tri-County Link service area, but they may have a doctor's appointment, say downtown at MUSC. So Tri-County Link only goes so far. They would then transfer to a Carter ADA service, and then
Mhm.
that would take them down to MUSC. So send them both,
Okay.
both websites, and you can send them our email information that will be in the PowerPoints that Daniel will send out as well.
Okay.
And they can always email us directly with questions that they may have.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
It's
very welcome.
exciting. Your plans are exciting.
Thank you. We think so.
Mm.
How you doing? This is Ernie Glover.
Hi, Mr. Glover.
Hello. I haven't had an opportunity to be speak to you
I
regularly.
know we have conversed a lot through communications, because I know you
Exactly.
help a lot of folks with applications. So yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Well, I just wanted to let the Palmetto Alliance know that before Miss Michelle took the place, Morgan was in place, and we worked really closely with Morgan. And when I say we, the Lighthouse for the Blind out of Seattle and here in Somerville. And what one of the roles that we were involved with was we were trying to um, make sure that we help to give advice that would be more than just ADA compliant in the structure and the build of the rapid transit system. When Miss Michelle took over, I have not had an opportunity to communicate with her. But we did a lot, and we were in a lot of meetings, and hopefully after today I'll be able to communicate with Miss Michelle about some of the things that we were talking about and putting in place as far as Morgan goes, because one of the things that was really important was dealing with individuals who have complete blindness,
Mhm.
and they're going to these intersections in order to cross over those 3 lanes and 4 lane uh, lanes for the vehicles to get over to the bus stop, was one of the major concerns that we were communicating and making sure that we conveyed that message over to the rapid transit. And rapid transit was they were very easy to listen to with what we had going on. And one of the things that we did was we reached out to Seattle and their rapid transit program and the kind of things that they did. And we already know that rapid transit here in the Lowcountry reaches out to all the major cities in order to find out what they were doing. So while they were building the foundation of their system. So uh, a lot of things are being talked about and being in place that goes to the benefit of people who are totally blind, and so they can be able to travel safely. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew about that, because we're 100% behind of what's going on with the growth of the rapid transit system. And like, if you have suggestions, my suggestion to you is to talk to Miss Michelle now while they are still in the development stages, because in their development stages, every phase is financed they look at as fades, and those phases gets financed. So we wants to make sure that if there's something that can help them, that will benefit people to be safe, that has these particular disabilities that maybe that they didn't think about, because I know that we contribute a lot of information that was not in the original plans. So, Miss Michelle would be the person to speak to about that.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mr. Glover. And again, Morgan worked in our department. So a lot of times, again, our outreach structure and communications was kind of fluid here. And so we kind of knew that there were those meetings going on. And I know that she has expressed a lot of what was brought out of those meetings to the project manager and to the project team. And so I do know that they are looking at a lot of those things, because again, we are talking about everyone in our community, and we want to make sure that everyone has accessibility to this fantastic new program. I mean, this is something that our state can be very proud of. This is one of, if not the longest BRT line in our country, and the first of its kind in our state as far as BRT. This is the first that we've done anywhere in the state. And so we want to make sure that we are setting a great example as we move forward with other corridors and other systems take on something similar. And so that accessibility factor is a huge component. I do know that we're working very closely with all of the municipalities as well to make sure that crossings and things of that nature are accessible to all and that are safe for all as they're riding the buses. Even right now with Carter buses, we don't have things like announcements and things of that nature for those, again, who may be totally blind and may not necessarily know that their stop is coming up and things of that nature. So making sure that we have language features, all of those things are things that I know that they are putting into those services. But as Mr. Glover said, if there's anything else or if you have any concerns, definitely make sure you let us know. And we'll make sure that the project team knows about that. And we will get back to you and let you know how that's progressing as we go through the project as well.
Michelle, one question that I had, and I've heard various answers to it over the development process of this project. So I'll pose it to you maybe for clarification. I don't want to minimize the significance of this project and the length of the project specifically from downtown Charleston all the way up to the Exchange Park. That's a tremendous asset to our community that is underway. At the same time, I know there were talks about carrying that route on up to Somerville. And even beyond that, we have areas up in St. George or over in Monk's Corner or Walterboro that are within the Tri-County area, but that are maybe more rural communities still. So, and even beyond Monk's Corner, areas like St. Stephen's. So, what is the process and what is the best way that our organizations can advocate for some of those more rural areas to gain access to transportation services, particularly when individuals in those rural communities have blindness or vision impairments that present specific and unique barriers to them getting access to these public transportation systems?
Absolutely. So I'm going to scroll back just to show that corridor area a little bit real quick. There are a couple of things that I would say is best before I get into as far as like the areas that we go into. What we're doing right now today is some of the best things that we can do. Again, making sure that someone from our team, whether it's me or whether we get that replacement in from Morgan, that we stay in communication so that there is that constant dialogue and bringing things to attention and making sure that the project team is aware of it. You guys are, and folks that you may work with actually, are listed as what we call stakeholders. And so a lot of times, again, as we go through the process, we are making sure that we're reaching out to folks along the corridor, but definitely our stakeholders. And so being that stakeholder is one of the best ways as far as making sure that you guys are advocating and a part of the entire process as it moves along. We do know that there is a need to go into further areas, including Somerville. The goal is still to get to those areas, absolutely, definitely. I will say that there are certain requirements that we are federally bound to, and part of that is dealing with things like ridership. And so right now, that's one of the reasons why we are we're about to go through a comprehensive analysis of our rural transit right now for Tri-County Link. And so we may be adjusting some of those routes, beefing some of them up so that we can grow that ridership in those areas, because we know that there are folks that are riding that every day. I personally know that there are people who are utilizing our ADA services in Somerville that are coming to the Charleston area and then transferring and so forth. And so again, that is definitely a goal of the project. And so that's why we're starting those steps to see how we can get there. The ridership being one of the main things, and building that ridership. And in order to build that ridership, even though Tri-County Link is a flag stop system, it has to be something that's consistent that people can rely on and have that connectivity in order to grow that. And so that's one of the main missions that we're going to be doing. When we talk about out to further areas, what I can do is I may be able to send that in with the slides when I send you the presentation. But here at the COG, which for those of you that may not know, is the Berkeley-Charleston-Dorchester Council of Governments. And so we manage both transit systems. And we also manage transportation projects. And so we have long-term transportation plans, short-term, things of that nature. And so there is a plan for additional corridors. The next corridor that has already started and is underway is, I think, is US 52 corridor. And that's going into rural area, Monk's Corner, into those areas at that point. And so that's where we're already kind of starting. And so there's several other corridors that are already planned out. And so again, sharing that information with you guys, I think is in our 2040 plan or something. And so again, I can send that slide to kind of get you familiar with what those other corridors are. Beyond that, when it goes outside of maybe our Tri-County area, that's where we have to have coordination between other council of governments, other governmental entities, to try to see how we can then work together when it goes beyond the boundaries of what we can actually speak to at that point in time. But there are those plans that are out there. Did I get everything?
Yep, you
Okay,
touched
perfect.
on everything. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
What other questions do y'all have? We have time for one more question. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I'll throw this one out there, Michelle. I know that you are involved in other efforts and are aware of other efforts around the state, and there are some folks on the call from Columbia, from Greenville, from other parts of South Carolina. And you mentioned that this particular initiative here in Charleston is kind of innovative and pioneering in our state. What can you share about what efforts are underway in other parts of South Carolina to provide these same kind of accessible public transportation services to build out that infrastructure?
Absolutely. And I can kind of touch on it a little bit. And then again, hopefully we will go ahead and set us up for coming back, and I can have a couple of my team members that dig a lot deeper into the actual workings of it, as far as dealing with other municipalities, and again, how we change legislation, things of that nature. And so I do know that it is a high priority. It is changing times in our state. Very often it has been thought of as, everybody's, can ride to work and everything with one person in a vehicle, and it doesn't really affect anybody. But everywhere, Columbia, Greenville, Spartanburg, everywhere, they're seeing a lot of these crunches where our traffic is getting longer and taking longer and longer to get from point A to point B. And I say all of that to say that other forms and other ideas are now coming to the forefront and are becoming more important and are becoming things that people are truly looking at as far as putting in place. Columbia, for example, the transit system in Columbia with the Comet has done remarkable over the last decade for the most part. I know that when I first started with CARTA, I think CARTA had one of the most robust systems, and the area up in Clemson had one of the most robust systems, and Comet was still just coming along at that point. And again, now they are very expansive and looking at growing and improving the routes and so forth. And so in various areas in our state, again, even in what is considered rural, there's a lot of pockets of what is considered urban. And the ability to provide transit or transportation services is a critical thing in all of those communities. And so I know that quite often our COG leadership is talking to others in the area on even on some of our boards and things of that nature. Transit Alliance for South Carolina, things of that. We are all involved with that. And so we are sharing those ideas as we go through. A lot of times there's annual conferences. And so a lot of times, again, a lot of these leading transit agencies or transportation agencies are providing that information to folks that are in rural communities and in other communities that may not have those same resources to help them find the steps and maybe even find grants and things of that nature to be able to provide some of those services. So that's kind of just like a touch on it. And again, we've got our planning director, Catherine Basha, who can probably speak a good bit to it, and Sharon Hollis, who is actually the project manager for LCRT, that can talk a little bit more about, again, some of the things that may actually be coming down the line as far as legislation, things of that nature, where they're talking to all of our cohorts in the entire state.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Sounds like we need to have a follow-up to our
Absolutely.
conversation today and keep the conversation
Absolutely.
going. So,
Absolutely. Thank you guys for all the questions. I appreciate it. Again, my information will be in there. If you have any questions, make sure you shoot it across and we'll definitely get back to you.
thank you so much, Michelle. We appreciate you and your time, and you're welcome to stay on for the rest of the meeting, but we understand if you need to get on with your day too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We're excited to have another guest with us this morning. Dr. Kirk Adams is a past president and CEO of the American Foundation for the Blind and a past president and CEO of Lighthouse for the Blind. And Dr. Adams has some exciting new projects for the blind and visually impaired in South Carolina to share with us today. So, Dr. Adams, welcome, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I'm talking to you from my home office in Seattle, and I spent quite a bit of time in South Carolina in my role as the CEO here at the Lighthouse as we put together a statement of work with the Boeing company and purchased a facility in Somerville, and was felt very welcome in South Carolina. And then most recently, last fall, I was at the Walgreens Warehouse and Distribution Center in Anderson. So revisited the state. But for the past 2 years, I have been consulting with companies to help accelerate inclusion of people who are blind in the workforce. And I have partnered with a cybersecurity company called Nova Coast, and we have developed a virtual cybersecurity training program to prepare blind individuals for careers in cybersecurity. The name of the program is the APEX program, and there's a website, which is just simply www.theapexprogram.com. But I've been focused on creating career pathways for people who are blind for over 30 years. And if I was going to design something from scratch, it would look a lot like this. And we are recently established as a vendor for blind services in South Carolina. So the program is 10 weeks, virtual training. It's 200 hours of training. There's 4 different ways to access the information. It's very accessible for people who use screen readers and magnification. Designed for people to get through in 10 weeks, so it'd be 20 hours a week or so. But there's lots of flexibility if people's life circumstances intervene and they need to take longer. That's fine. There is a program manager who monitors the students. There are quizzes along the way, so that if it's in a learning management system. If people start to get off course or seem to be struggling in an area, there's a human intervention. And then at the end of the 10 weeks, the student is prepared to take 2 industry recognized cybersecurity certification tests. CompTIA is the certifying body. They take a Network Plus and a Security Plus certification test. It's administered by Pearson. The tests are accessible with screen readers. People can take the test remotely. They just need to be on camera like anyone else taking a remote Pearson test. The majority of the thousands and thousands of open jobs in cybersecurity are remote. The pay is good. Many different career pathways once a person's in the industry. do not need a 2 or 4 year degree. Certifications are what count in cybersecurity. And the skill level, it's not coding. It's cybersecurity analysis, which is using cybersecurity tools, which are web-based and search engine-based. So a person does need enough skill to effectively operate on a website and use a search engine. We ask people who are interested, either as a prospective student, a prospective employer, a vocational rehabilitation counselor, a nonprofit employment program, to go to the website and fill out an inquiry form. And that starts a process with the appointment for an interview. And then we take it from there. So we're established in 16 states now. I have about 50 students in process. The first graduates have finished and become employed, but it is a fairly new program. Super open to continuous quality improvement. So if any of you become engaged with the program, if you see areas for improvement, please let us know. I believe that once we're established in the 40 most populous states, I think we can get 400 blind people a year into cybersecurity careers nationally. And I'm excited about that from the standpoint of if we do this 8, 10, 12 years, then we'll have thousands of blind people in cybersecurity. And I think that really changes the face of an industry. So I've got a long-term plan here around cybersecurity. And I know we have very limited time, and I appreciate your time. And thank you, Daniel, for including me today. But I'd happily answer any top of mind questions people have. But again, the website, www.theapexprogram.com, there's an inquiry form there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adams. And
Yeah.
we've got the handout that you sent as well, and we can forward that along to
Yeah,
the
please.
members here and to the group. I think it will be particularly relevant for those of us that are working in the vision rehabilitation space and might be talking to individuals who are blind and are looking for that next career opportunity. So
it's focused initially on people who are blind, but certainly welcome to any person with a disability is certainly welcomed into the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any questions for Dr. Adams about this opportunity or about this program? All right. Well, Dr. Adams, thank you so much again for letting us know about this. And
Yeah,
we wish you all
absolutely.
the success in the world as
Yep,
you expand into South Carolina.
And like I say, whatever level of interest you have, someone's asking about eligibility.
Yes.
You can get these certifications as young as age 13. CompTIA allows people to become certified at that age. There is no eligibility as far as educational attainment or degrees. It's really just a matter of the level of ability to operate, like I said, on in a website-based environment and use a search engine. There was an interview. The program manager, David Main, has been a securities operations center manager and a hiring manager. So there's an interview process just to gauge whether or not the person seems to have the temperament and the aptitude for this kind of work. It is fairly detail oriented. It is solving puzzles. So if the person has some natural curiosity and likes to figure things out and enjoys for creative problem solving, then that's the type of characteristics that lead to success in the cybersecurity analysis. But there is an interview process to start things rolling.
Awesome. Thank you so much again,
Yeah,
Dr. Adams.
absolutely.
We appreciate your time.
Enjoy your day. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
You too.
Take good care.
Bye-bye.
Good to hear your voice again, Ernest Glover. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Awesome. We are moving on, and we are impressively still pretty much on schedule and on time today. So, given the number of things we were trying to get through, I'm pretty pleased with that. I wanted to share, and I passed along to you a scope of work from the Winkler Group that is related to our strategic planning efforts here at Palmetto Vision Alliance. We have been trucking along for about 4 years now, and we've attempted various efforts at working groups and strategic planning in the past. And just because of the nature of these types of coalitions where everyone is volunteering their time and has their hands in a lot of different things all over the state, through no fault of any one person, we've not really been able to get those efforts off the ground. And thankfully, thanks to grant support from Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina Foundation, we have been able to partner with the Winkler Group to help not only with strategic planning for Palmetto Vision Alliance, but kind of using that vehicle as an avenue for strategic planning for eye care in South Carolina as a whole. A plan, an evolving plan, obviously, that can be helpful to us as we work in various sectors, whether they be nonprofit or government or healthcare or even corporate, where we can have some agreed upon objectives and goals that we're working towards as we all seek to increase access to eye care over the coming years. So hopefully you had a chance to at least skim over or review that scope of work for the meeting today. But again, we are looking at a fairly condensed timeline here for Winkler Group. So thankfully, this will not be a long drawn out process. You might hear strategic planning, and those of us that have done this before think, my goodness, I can't set aside 6 months of time to keep this going. We're talking about weeks. This whole project from start to finish probably cover no more than 6 or 8 weeks at most. And really, it will only involve a substantial amount of time from 4 to 6 of us. We're working with the Winkler Group based on the scope of our membership to identify 4 or 6 Palmetto Vision Alliance members that we would want to interview kind of more at length ahead of time to ensure that Winkler Group is prepared for an in-person strategic planning session. And they would facilitate that, which is certainly exciting for us, given that that's one of their areas of expertise. But we're looking at probably late September, maybe early October, but really we're trying to keep all of this in the month of September if we can, for a half-day workshop in Columbia, basically, so that you all would not be giving up more than a day, travel time included, to come to Columbia to participate in this session, and then to offer insights that will go into that. So half-day facilitated session. From that, Winkler Group would be developing 4 to 6 goals that will achieve the strategic priorities that we are all working towards in the eye care space. And obviously emphasize appropriate engagement at each level of those goals and plans. What we will get from the Winkler Group will not be a finished product. As you all know, there's more than just strategic priorities or goals in strategic plans, but there's more specific objectives and action items that have to flow out of that. We will have to build that out. So we will get the big picture template from Winkler Group after this session in Columbia, and they will be following up with us. There will be some accountability there, where we will need, following that half-day workshop, we will need a subgroup of members. So I'll ask you all now to be thinking about who might be interested in serving on that group. I'm not going to put anyone on the spot today, but you might be hearing from me over the next couple of weeks. But folks that could form a short-term working group to take the information that we get from Winkler and build out more action items under those overarching goals. So that we make sure that this is a relevant and working strategic plan. We don't want a 3-inch binder that sits on a shelf and collects dust. We want something particularly for a dynamic and busy coalition like us. We want something that will be implementable and actionable and something that's concise enough to be relevant to us as we go forward, and something that's helpful enough that it can be a resource for the eye care industry as a whole. Let's see what else we have here. Terminology, again, Winkler Group defines terms for us of what is a strategic priority versus a goal versus a strategy versus an objective versus an action item. And so that is something that they put just for clarification so we all understand what they mean. And I would encourage you as you're thinking about your September schedules and going to this September session, familiarize yourself with those terms ahead of time so that we can save a little bit of time in person and have kind of a basic understanding of what they mean when they say that. And again, we're very grateful for Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina Foundation for providing the funding to help us with this effort. It certainly promises a helpful opportunity for not only us as a coalition, but also the eye care industry as a whole. And some of those broader public health initiatives, I think, are part of what the foundation was really excited about and interested in for this project. So with the little bit of time that we have left, I want to open it up for those that are on this call. Since you all are here, you get to have a little bit more say in the process. Take a look at your September schedules and let's look specifically at September 23rd through the end of the month through the 30th. And again, maybe spilling into that very first week of October. For your schedules, what would be the best day for you to come to Columbia for this half-day workshop? Again, it will in all likelihood take a whole day for all of us, particularly those of us that don't live in Columbia like myself that have to drive an hour or so to get there. What day would work best for y'all?
Do you want to know now? Or do you want
Sure. I
us
mean,
to
if you've
think
got your
about it?
schedules, in front of you, y'all are the ones that showed up for the call today. So we're not going to finalize a date today, but I would
Yeah.
certainly want to give preference to those that showed up today.
That Monday, the 23rd through the 25th, I'm free. After that, I have a board meeting and then a conference out of town.
Okay, so it would have to be one of those first
For
three
me,
days, 23rd, 24th, 25th.
yeah,
Okay.
or later the week of October, you know what I'm saying, the first week.
Okay, first week of October.
Yeah, because I won't be back until Wednesday, so from the conference.
Okay, Wednesday the 2nd.
The 3rd, and you know how it is. No, or 2nd, yes.
Yep.
You know how it is when you just get back. You've got
Yep. Got a mountain of things waiting for you. Yeah. Yep. So the 23rd, 24th, 25th, or October 4th is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Or yeah.
What about anybody else?
Daniel, this is Brenda. I am currently available anytime on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th as well.
Okay.
Daniel, this is Tammy. I can do the 23rd and 24th only.
Okay.
Got your bookmark. Right.
This is Catherine. I could do the 25th, or I could do the following week any day.
Okay.
This is Ernie. I can do the 23rd, 24th, 25th.
Okay.
I actually do any day that week I can do.
Any day the week of September 23rd?
Oh, yeah. Any day the week of September 23rd, I can come up there. I'm actually going to already be up there in Columbia the 22nd, 21st. So any time that week, I'll come back to Columbia if I need to.
Okay.
Hey, this is Amy. I am available the 24th, 25th, 26th, and then the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Mondays and Fridays are harder for me as well.
Okay.
Daniel, this is Dave Birch. I'd be available any of those days in Columbia, definitely.
Okay.
Hey, this is Cindy with Walton Options. Mondays and Fridays, just like was mentioned before, are very tough for me. I have meetings all day. I don't know why I did that to myself, but I got meetings all day on Mondays and Fridays. Tuesdays and Thursdays look pretty good. So I think that's like the 24th and 26th.
Okay. Fantastic. That is very helpful information, and we will do our best to find a date that will accommodate the most number of schedules possible. I know with a group this large, it's simply not going to work to get every single person in the room, but we will work with that. Sounds like Mondays and Fridays are definitely out for us, and that's okay. I think we've got enough options. We can work with the rest, and we will make every effort not only to find a date that works for everybody, but also to offer a mechanism for those that may not be able to join in person to still be able to contribute to the process. But we really want this to be an in-person session. And from what Winkler Group has said, they really do not like hybrid options for this kind of process. They've tried that a lot of times in a lot of different ways. And it's just never worked for them the way that they want it to. So again, we will think about other ways that if we end up on a day that somebody can't make it, that you can still contribute to the process ahead of time. So. All right. Well, thank you all so much for weighing in on that. It's a lot easier to talk for a couple of minutes in person or over a forum like this rather than bouncing back and forth by emails for days on end waiting for people to respond. So thank you. We're a couple minutes over time, so I don't have anything else on our agenda for today other than a reminder that our next meeting is Wednesday, November the 13th at 9 a.m. We would welcome you to send any announcements or updates. And if anyone wants to stay on for a few minutes and has something that they would like to share, we'll be happy to keep the meeting running for a little bit longer. But otherwise, thank you all so much for your time. We really appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Have you heard of Respectable?
I have not, no.
They have people donate glasses to them. And they have a database. You type in your prescription and they'll send them to you for free if you're in poverty.
Okay. I'll check with our
them.
program team on that because I know they found, I really can't remember which one it is. They found a group recently that we were shocked we had not come across before that had remarkably accessible prices for eyeglasses. Respectable doesn't sound like that was it, but I don't know if it was maybe something else.
Respectable is definitely a nonprofit, so it's free eyeglasses, but you put in like, the cylinder and the axis and everything. Kind of interesting.
Cool.
I'd be interested to see where it's not Restore Vision or Bosch, right?
I honestly can't remember. I would have to check with our program team on which name it was, but I can follow up with you on that.
Yeah, if you don't mind, we're using Restore Vision and Bosch, so if there's another one out there, I'd love it because you probably know this, they run out.
Yeah. Quantities is always a challenge.
Angel, doing okay?
Yep. Doing good.
Good. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you all. Bye.